First of all, to use the WMS Power Up, we have to create the setup in Business Central by searching setup WMS, initializing it by clicking on init setup, where we can choose the language code. For example, it's mapped to English and Italian, and also the theme, which is the color of the app. After that, we have to search in Business Central user list, which represent all the users in the warehouse that can use the Power Up. For example, I've mapped in Business Central 5 different users with different badges, and on each user I've applied what kind of task can be done. For example, the employee number 1 can do the warehouse receipt, the item reclassification, the picking, and the put away. Instead, the employee number 5 can just do the purchase receipt, the sales shipment, and the item reclassification. To each employee, I have associated a number of the badge, which must be put inside the Power Up to understand with what kind of employee we're going to log inside the app. As soon as we go inside the Power Up, we can see all the activity that we can handle. For each activity and for each employee, we can create a specific setup. For example, for the warehouse receipt, I define that the scanner setup is an item. What represents the scanner setup? The scanner setup represents the scans that I have to do when I want to handle a line of the document or the document. For example, the scanner setup item represents that if I'm going to handle the warehouse receipt and I received an item, I have just to scan the item code. And if there is that tracking code, I have to put it inside manually, maybe, or based on the setup. We can also have, for example, a different setup, which is the item plus lot plus quantity, which represents that I have to do 3 different scans because the scanner type is sequential, and the first scan is about the item ID, which could represent, for example, the item code or also the cross-reference. After that, I have to scan the tracking code, and at the end, the quantity. A different scanner type is the linear one, which represent that I'm going to handle just a blip, but inside the blip there are different information. For example, I'm going to scanner setup WMS. For example, I'm going to scan the item D0001 and lot. Sorry. D.0001 5 lot. This is my barcode. If I send it, scan it in the Power Up, the Power Up will understand that I'm going to scan, that I have just scanned the item D001 and the tracking L007. Okay. Just go back. I'm going to use just the item ID. The scan mode, I'll tell you later what that's about. What it's about, sorry. And we can also filter all the warehouse receipt of a specific location. For example, for the employee number 1, we want that the warehouse receipt will be filtered just for the location code, and I choose the location code that I want to filter to. For example, I want to filter for the logistic, and I don't know, maybe WMS 3. WMS sorry, logistic, and let's see if where we have other WMS 001, WMS 01. Okay, just for these two location code. Okay. After that, as I told you before, there is the execution mode, which can be asynchronous, synchronous, and scheduled. Synchronous means that the device, when the employee is going to handle the warehouse receipt, is always connected to internet, so all the information will be sent to Business Central immediately. The asynchronous means that the warehouse device could not be always connected to internet, so in the WMS Power App is going to save in local all the information, and as soon as possible we'll send all the information to Business Central, and at the end we have the scheduled one, which represent the Power App always save all the information locally, and with a job we'll send all the information to Business Central. We have notify on success, which represented a notification when we save or post a document in the Power App to see if the activity has been processed correctly, and the default action if it must be post or save. We can also allow define if the posting is allowed. For example, for the inventory activity, usually we don't allow the posting on the WMS Power App on the device in the warehouse, because we want just that the inventory activity will be sent in the device to be sent to Business Central, where an employee can check all the quantity that have been scanned in the warehouse. Allow automatic tracking means that if it's required, when we receive an item which requires the tracking, which can be in the lot number or the seller number, or also the package number, will automatically assign a tracking code. We define if the focus must be on the quantity. This means that when we go inside the activity, we can or choose to scan everything, all the items that we have received, or when we go inside the line, for example, warehouse picking, inside the line that we want to handle, we have already on the quantity field, and we can put inside the quantity automatically. Quantity editing, okay. And anyways, there are also other setup. To see the activity in the WMS Power App, we have to enable it. And if we want to see the activity inside a cartel, we can choose the group where we want to see it. For example, if we want to see the warehouse receipt activities in the warehouse group, we put inside here warehouse. At the end, we have the scan mode, which is very important because it will define if when we are inside a document, we can scan all the items from the list. So if I'm going to scan the item from here, for example, I just received an orange HT, and I scan the item from here, it will apply the quantity to the lines. Then, if the scan mode is line or group, I have to go inside the line and scan all the items from inside the line. So, right now we can, for example, create a warehouse receipt. Right now I'm going to update the Power Up. So right now I've just enabled to the employee number 1 to handle the warehouse receipt, and right now I can user list. I didn't enable the activity. Okay, I reload the Power Up, and right now I can see the warehouse receipt. Let's suppose that we want to handle the warehouse receipt number 31. We go to warehouse receipt, where we can see all the warehouse receipt that we have to handle. We choose the 31. We can also filter the document, or also beeping it, and it will automatically enter in the right document. Here we are in the list, where we can see we have 2 different lines to handle with the 2 different items, for example, the red bicycle and the white chair. And it says that we are going to post the activity in the location logistic in the bin Rice, which represent the receipt bin. We on the warehouse on the WMS user list setup, we define that for the warehouse receipt we are going to use a scan mode which is fast, and a scanner setup which requires just the item code. So it means that I can scan the items from the list. So I'm going to scan the item, just putting the barcode of the item, E002, and it has just applied 1 piece to the red bicycle. I can also handle different barcode. For example, I have created an N code for the red bicycle, which is this one, and if I scan it, the Power Up will automatically understand that I have just scanned the red bicycle. Also, with the cross-reference, I can define different unit of measure for each code, each barcode. For example, for the red bicycle, I could define that the code 1 represents a red bicycle in pieces, and the code B represents always the red bicycle, but in pallet. So a pallet defines 10 pieces of red bicycles. Now I handle the white chair, 003, and again the red bicycle, and so on. And I can handle all the document. Right now I can also post or the document, or also save the document. So if I go back inside the warehouse receipt, right now it says that I have to receive 16 pieces and 23 pieces, because 4 and 2 I've already received. If I save the activity, the items that I've just scanned will be sent to Business Central. In fact, if I reload the page, I've received 5 pieces and 3 pieces. I can also post the document from the WMS Power Up. It requires an external document number. For example, I can define I received these items with the DDT number 2. Okay, I can also put inside this page other information. Okay, and we can also post the warehouse receipt from here. So I'm going to post it. Perfect. So we have already received 4 pieces. Right now we have received 5 pieces. If we reload the page, it says that we received 9 and 5. Okay. Right now the items are in the receipt zone. So we have to move the items from the receipt zone, so from the receipt bin to a warehouse bin. So we go inside the inventory group, we choose item reclassification, we choose the from bin, we already are in the right location, which is the receipt bin, and the bin where we want to put the items. Okay, we beep the item. For the setup that I've done for the reclassification activity, it requires two different scans, one for the items and one for the quantity. For example, the user have just scanned the barcode of the item, and right now is going to put manually the quantity to move. Let's say he want to move three items, sorry. Okay. And after that, you want to move, for example, the item D0003 for 2 pieces. And it also says that we are going to move the red bicycle from the location logistic to the location logistic, from the bin code receipt to the bin code B00. The same for the white chair. From here, we can always save or save and post activity. That's also post activity. Okay, and this is what I said before, the notify on success of the activity. We can also choose which batch to use when we are going to handle the item reclassification. Right now, suppose that we want to handle a sales order. Let's create a new sales order. Okay. Sorry. So we have to always, before create the warehouse document in Business Center, and after we have created the document in Business Center, we can handle the document inside the WMS Power App. We have just created three different three lines on the sales order. We are going to create the warehouse shipment. This location also requires the picking document. So from the warehouse shipment, we're going to create the picking document. Okay. It has just created the picking document, and we're going right now to handle the document from the WMS Power App. We can search the document from the group warehouse and choosing picking. And the document is the 108. Or also we can go inside the Omni search area and just beeping the code of the document. If maybe the paper have the barcode of the document, it will automatically understand the document and go inside it. It tells us that we have to go inside the location logistic in the bin B00 and take 12 pieces and so on. From the pick and document, we can also handle the pick and back action. The pick and back action let us to create new handling units or using existing handling units and putting inside the new handling units and putting inside the handling units all the items that we're going to scan. For example, right now I want to create a new pallet. Okay. It has just created the pallet with the code P0072. Right now we go inside the line. We go in the hex bolt to handle the first line. We define the let's see, the user activity of the picking. The picking require three different scans. The first for the item, the second one for the tracking for the lot, and the third one for the quantity. So this item requires the tracking, so I'm going to beep. First of all, the item. After that, it asks me which is the lot that I'm going to take, which is this one for me. And after that, I say also the quantity. I say 12. Okay. Sorry. Flip count tracking code. Okay. L007. And the quantity is 12. Doesn't like it. The 0.001 tracking 12. Right, I put more quantity. The 0.0001 12. Okay. And let's save. After that, we go inside the other item. We can also filter the item that we are going to handle, the 0002. And it automatically go inside the line. From the bin field, we can see which is the purpose of Business Central. We can also change the bin that we want to, where we want to take the items from. The item D00002 doesn't require the tracking code, so we're going to beep, for example, for this item, the EAN code and the quantity because it doesn't require the tracking. 12 pieces. Okay. Right now, we suppose that we have just finished the first handling unit. We want to create a second handling unit. We go inside the packaging material, choose a different handling unit or choosing the same one. Let's choose maybe a different one. No. Let's try with this one. Okay. We go back on the lines and we choose line D003. Define the pieces. Okay. And in the end, let us share it. Let's search it from here. It tells me that I have two different lines with the white share to handle. I choose the one that I prefer, scan the item, and define the quantity. Okay. After that, when I finish to handle the document, I can or post or save the document. Anyways, for the picking activity, all the scans automatically will be automatically sent to Business Central if the scan mode is synchronous. So let's post the document. Right now, the picking document has been deleted. And in the warehouse receipt have been also associated the two handling units that I've handled in the picking document. So it also creates the packing list. The first packing list for the handling unit C0020 for 15 white chairs, and the handling unit P0072 with a pallet error for the hex bolt for 12 pieces and the red bicycle for 20 pieces. We can also handle the warehouse shipment to post from here. We usually handle anyways the warehouse shipment from the document in Business Central because it will create the shipment document. Anyways, we could also handle the document from the WMS Power App by searching the document. But anyways, on the setup, I defined that all the quantity that have been beep in the picking list have been already assigned to the warehouse shipment. So from here, I can just post the document. So it has also delayed the document in Business Central. The other activity that can be done in Business Central in the WMS Power App, for example, are the item information. where we can scan a barcode. Let's take, for example, the N we used before of the bicycle. It will understand that it's the item D002. It's a red bicycle. In inventory, I have 77 pieces. If I go inside the tracking type, it doesn't require no tracking code, and the type is an inventory item. If we click inside the inventory, we can see how many pieces we have for each location, and for each location how many of them are reserved. And we can also define for every location how much pieces we have in each bin code. We can also check the bin content for bin. So what happened here, we can choose the location code, for example, logistic, and the bin code reach to see what kind of items are inside here. And I can see that I have all these items. As the same type, we can choose, we can define what item, where we can find an item inside a location. For example, I want to search the item D0001 inside the location logistic. Tells me that I have 52 pieces in the bin B000 and 24 pieces in the shipment bin. At the end, we can check also the bin content for item, lot, and package. Let's try. Always logistic. Let's check the lot number. Tells me that the lot L007, I have 52 pieces of the item D001 in the location B00 and 24 pieces in the location in the shipment location. Handling units. What happened with the handling units? We can create the handling units in a location. We first of all define the type of handling units we want to create. For example, a pallet. We define the packaging material, the type of pallet we want to handle, a pallet EUR. We choose the location, logistic one, and at the end, the bin code where we want to handle the item. For example, the B00. If we click here, it will create the new handling unit, and from now we can scan all the items to put inside the handling unit. For example, we want to scan the item. We want to put inside the item D002 for 10 pieces, and the item D.0003 for 2 pieces. And okay, from detail we can see all the information about this handling unit. For example, it's a pallet, the packaging material number, the dimension, and other information. And from action, we can, for example, create the parent, so the handling unit fodder, which contains, for example, this handling unit and other information. The same activity can be done from handling units management, where I have all the list of the handling unit inside Business Central, and I can filter. For example, just create P0073 handling units, and I can scan other items. From here, with this button, I can create new handling units. I can also reclassify some handling units, for example, from the logistic. I want to move the handling units that I've just created from the location logistic at the bin B00 to the location logistic to the bin C00. I scan the handling unit P0073. Let's save or save post the action. At the end, we can also handle the handling unit physical inventory, where we can, like always, scan the handling unit P0073 and define all the items that there are inside the handling units. For example, define that inside this handling unit should be the items D002 and the item D003. In the setup, you can also decide to put the description or not, because we could also from the setup decide to leave this page empty and the user have to beep all the items that it finds inside the handling unit, and after that saving and or posting the activity. I have to save to go outside. Let's retry P0073. Okay. I say that this handling unit maybe just have 2 items of the item T002. I'm going to save. After that, I can go outside. Okay, so we have seen the picking activity, the warehouse shipment, the warehouse receipt. The warehouse put away is the same of the warehouse of the picking document. So we can see that we have the red bicycle in the logistic location, and I have to put the item from the receipt zone to the bin C00. It's the same for the white shirt, but I have to put from the receipt bin to the bin D00 for 3 pieces. So let's try with a couple of items. If it's required, I can also define to change the bin code, because Business Central proposed me to stock the item, to put away the item in the bin C00, but I could put the item in another bin. Okay. I'm going to handle the other item, the 003. Okay. Define also a different bin code. I want to put it inside the bin C00 for 2 pieces. I save. Last one, C00 pieces. I think that there are some setup problems here. Let's check. Scans not managed. Activity scans. The field bin code of the table. I think that there is a problem with the bin C00. Okay. In the end, let's try to handle item reclassification. We have seen it before. A bin reclass. We can use a bin reclass to move all the items inside a bin to another bin. For example, we want to move all the items which are inside maybe a different location. maybe inside the location B2C from the bin is bin. Okay, so let's choose the location logistic. Let's choose the from bin and define the to bin is the C00. So if we click OK, we are going to move all the items that are inside the bin A00 to the bin C00. This field can be empties also by the scanning the bin barcode on the bin. Okay, because we can also filter all the bins. Okay. In the end, we have the item tracking class to change the tracking of an item. And in the end, we have the physical inventory. We search in Business Central. Physical inventory. Journals. For example, here, we said that try to create a new physical inventory. Calculate inventory. Calculate inventory just for the items which are the 00. Okay. In the logistic location. Okay. So these are all the items that I have inside my logistic location. I want to beep all the items. The scanner setup that I've defined for the inventory items. Let's check. Set user list. User list WMS. Let's check for physical inventory journal. Where is it? Here we are. Okay, it's item plus quantity. Okay. So let's suppose that we are going to scan. Let's clean the situation. So we're going to, sorry, we have also to choose the right batch name, because each employee could work on his batch to not waste the batch of the other people, of the other employee. So the employee number 1 is working on the batch imp 001. So I'm going to crash it. Okay. Calculate again the inventory. Okay. Let's go outside. Yes. We have to save. We go inside again. We choose the location logistic. We choose to inventory the bin code, maybe B00, and define that we want to inventory the item D002. Suppose that we have found 20 pieces. Doesn't like it. Okay. 20 pieces. It says that inside the logistic B00 there were 12 pieces. We have found 20 pieces. If we save the activity in Business Central, it will say that for the item D002, let's check if we can put outside the bin code that I don't hear. see here. Here we are. Perfect. In the bin code B00, I find 20 pieces. There were 12 pieces. And it also updates that I have scanned this line. Because maybe I could scan almost all the line, maybe one or two of them are not being scanned, so the information could be wrong. Okay, and after that we can register the physical inventory from Business Central. Okay, if we want to change the user, we can click change the user. From the Power Up, click 00, maybe 2. As I have, yes, I have an employee with the badge 002, which has, for example, an in Italian layout with different activities. And also maybe a different location setup. 002 again. When we are handling anyways a document, which can be a pick, input away, or a shipment, or whatever, also the physical inventory, the scanner setup can be changed directly by the user when he needs. He just need to go into action, set scan setup, and define the setup that he want to handle. Okay. And it has just changed the scanner setup to use to handle this document. Search other informations. We can also create the scanner reference list, where we can define for each vendor or client, and for each customer, for each activity, if there is a specific scanner setup to use, because we can also scan the barcode of our vendors or customers by using the cross-reference.